This is the Louie T Network.
In the lab room.
Welcome, you are in the lab room. I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. Here to break down the matchup on Sunday that took place between the Arizona Cardinals and the New Orleans Saints. This game for me was not quite what I expected. I thought that both teams would be able to score points in this game. I said I wanted to see what the Saints defense looked like and were they for real. And this defense sort of kind of answered some questions for me. I'm still not sure. I think the jury's still out on this defense. I'll tell you one thing, they're better. That's for sure. They are a better defense because it didn't matter who the opposing team was a season ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago. You were going to score points against New Orleans. That's not the case this year, but I'm still not sure that they're a top tier defense quite yet. But Rob Ryan has these guys playing some good football on the defensive side in New Orleans, and so I will give credit where credit is due. But the Arizona Cardinals came out and had a masterful first drive. They marched all the way down the field. They get a touchdown. I thought they did a great job of mixing in run and pass. But that was the last time all day long that they had a good balance on a drive. I thought after that, Bruce Arians did what Bruce Arians loves to do, and that's throw the football. Thought he totally abandoned the run. They weren't consistent running the football. And I thought they just gave up on the run. And after they did that, it seemed like this offense was out of sync because if you don't get a completion on first down, now it's 2nd and 10. And now running the football to me is irrelevant because if you pick up 3 yards, you're in 3rd and long at 3rd and 7. So once you don't get a completion on first down, if you elect to throw it, now you kind of put yourself behind the 8 ball. And he wasn't going to the run after 1st and 10 and it was 2nd and 10. He was just throwing it again. And if you don't complete it on 2nd down, now it's 3rd and 10. Now you got to complete the first down. And it just seemed like they were pigeonholing themselves in this game by just throwing the football and not mixing in enough run. And after that first drive, New Orleans settled in defensively, and I think the Arizona Cardinals kind of made themselves one-dimensional, helped the Saints out a little bit by not running the football and being balanced. And so they were able to kind of tee off and get pressure on Carson Palmer and kind of play some coverages to kind of confuse him with a little bit of what they were able to do in the secondary. But when you look at the Saints in this game, offensively, it was just simply too much Jimmy Graham. And they sprinkled in a little bit of the Mighty Mite, Darren Sproles, and there was not much they could do with those two. Sproles was dynamic on special teams, and Jimmy Graham was getting it done offensively. Drew Brees was Drew Brees, and yeah, he made a few mistakes, threw a couple interception or two, but it didn't matter. This Saints team dominated defensively, and offensively, it was just too much Jimmy Graham. It simply was too much Jimmy Graham. They sprinkled in a couple of role players along the way, but at the end of the day, the Saints took care of business at home in impressive fashion. And this game for me, a little disappointed in Arizona, more so than impressed with New Orleans. New Orleans got it done at home. Take nothing away from them in this football game. They got it done at home, but I feel like there was so much more the Cardinals could have done to make this a competitive football game because it was close early, and then the Saints, piece by piece, chipped away, pulled away, and then they absolutely ran away with this one. And the Cardinals could have played this game better because I thought the defense didn't actually play that bad in this game. And I don't think this is a bad Arizona Cardinals football team. I really don't. They've got some pieces here to work with. They've got some things. They just needed to call a better game is what I think. I think the play calling in this game, the game plan, if this was what the game plan was, then it wasn't a solid game plan. I think they need to do a better job of giving themselves a chance. The Saints right now, I really like what they're doing on both sides of the football. This team right now is playing at a very high level and quietly. No one's talking about the New Orleans Saints. They're 3-0, and they've won the games by playing defense, something that they haven't done in the past. And this offense is going to come along, and this offense is still playing well, they're just not scoring as much points as we're used to seeing them score. They scored points in this game, however. I haven't seen the explosiveness from this offense quite yet. Look, they dismantled the Cardinals in this game slowly. This was a slow death by the Arizona Cardinals. New Orleans get them 31-7 in this football game. Saints quietly, as quiet as you can probably do it, have went to 3-0 on this season. No one is really talking about this team because they're not doing it in conventional fashion. We're used to seeing the Saints pile up the points and win shootouts, and they're not doing that. They're just doing it defensively, and they're doing it by scoring enough points. They scored just enough last week against Tampa Bay, and in week 1, they scored just enough to beat the Atlanta Falcons, 2 tough divisional games. Now they go and they beat up on the Arizona Cardinals at home, and people need to start taking notice of these New Orleans Saints. They're playing good football. They're now 3-0, and they get a decisive win at home, 31-7. Meanwhile, the Arizona Cardinals, a promising start to this season, even though they lost that first game on the road against St. Louis, even though they came back and won a tough one at home against Detroit, this team leaves a lot left to be desired each and every single week. Carson Palmer makes bad throws every week, and he's a veteran. He can't afford to do that. Each week it seems like he has one pick that he throws exactly to the opposing team. And I don't know what he's looking at. In week 1, he threw a pick right to Johnson of the Rams, almost led to a pick 6. In week 2, he threw a pick 6 to DeAndre Levy. Don't know what he was looking at there, and he threw it right to him. And in week 3, he throws a pick in this game to Kenny Vaccaro, right to him. And he was high all day, and so Carson Palmer has to be better. If this team is going to do anything, he has to be better. Saints get this one 31-7. They're 3-0. Cardinals drop this one. They're now 1-2 on the season. And so, if it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the Lab Room. Thanks for joining me. See you next time. Like the content? Want more? Sub up.
In the lab room.